What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Corner. So I'm sure you've seen all the buzz going around about this new show that was released last year, at the end of last year, picking up. It seems to be picking up now at the beginning of January, and now All Her Fault. So I had the opportunity to binge it with my wife about a week ago, I want to say. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of things that we need to discuss here. So let's talk about it. I think it's one of the best ones I have seen in a few years. One of the best thrillers I have seen in a few years, because it is a thriller, obviously, but it draws you in with a story that is extremely, that I can shake anybody to their core, right? An extremely relatable story, especially for parents. If you don't know, the story follows the disappearance and the kidnapping of young Milo, who is Marissa and Peter's son. Somebody took him at the end of school day, and he was supposed to go with his friends to a play date. The mom comes and wants to pick him up, knocks on the house that she thinks the play date is happening, and goes, "Hey, I'm here to pick up my son Milo." And the woman who answers the door goes, "There is no Milo here. Who are you? I have no idea what you're talking about." Boom, first scene, right? So it draws you in immediately. That's the initial setup of the show, and that's what you think you're in for, right? So you think you are in for an investigation of a kidnapping of a child, which you are, but it takes some different angles, right? So the way that we'll approach this video is we'll talk about a few things that are not spoilers per se, even though, let me stop here for a second and let me tell you, if you have not seen this show, please stop this video and go watch it immediately, and then get back here and we'll discuss it here. Let me know down in the comments below if what you thought, if you liked it, if you don't like it, whatever. Let's start a conversation down below in the comments. But yeah, it's the type of show that I recommend no spoilers at all. The less that you know going in, the better. But yeah, and then so yeah, that's the initial setup of the show, right? Before we get into all of that, if you enjoy this type of content, click the subscribe button. It will help me out a ton. Click the notification bell. Like this video, share it with those who you know like this type of content. And I'm trying to, grow this channel as much as I can. And yeah, if you're feeling generous, you can, I've linked a donation page here, a buy me a coffee page. If you guys are feeling generous, it just helps the channel out a bit, so I can keep putting these videos out, and we can keep creating this community that I have dreamed of for so long. But let's get into it. So yeah, so I've set up the show for you. And like I said, I'll talk stuff that are not spoiler heavy. And then when I'm about to get into the real spoilers, I'll warn you beforehand. So yeah, the show then sets that up of the disappearance and the kidnapping of Milo. And we get to know the characters, right? So we get to know a bit of Marissa, a bit of Peter, his family life, what his life is with his siblings. That you obviously see that they're wealthy people. You get to know Jenny and her husband Richie. You get to know how her life is, that she's been really successful at her job, while her husband, is not so great of a husband, not so great of a father. It kind of resents her for, I guess, having a full-time job, even though she's most likely a lot more successful than him and makes a lot more money than him, probably because he's a teacher and she works for a big corporation. So yeah, you start to see the characters. You get to know, again, Peter and Marissa with Peter's family, his siblings, what that's like, and his brother Brian, his sister Leah. You see Colin and Marissa, they started the business together, and you see all these angles, right? You see that they all have nannies that watch over their kids, obviously, because they're really busy people. So that's the initial setup of the show, right? And like I said, the initial angle is the disappearance of Milo. So let's go out and find him, basically, right? And then you get into a bit of a mini whodunit, basically. I guess for a bit of the episode, the first episode, it starts to kind of, the show does a great job in making some people feel shady. Maybe they could have done it, right? So we get a bit of a look into Anna, right, who is Marissa and Peter's nanny. You get into her angle a bit, that she's been, and I remember while watching it, my wife and I were like, what do you think about her? She seems a bit weird. She seems a bit suspicious. And you get a bit of that too with Colin, right, who is the partner, Marissa's partner in her business, right? They're in wealth management and they started this business together. I remember my wife was like, what do you think about him? Why is he like being so nice? I know they're partners and whatever, but I don't know. He's too involved, basically, right? There's something going on with him, right? So the show does a great job of putting these questions in your mind of who could have done it, what is going on, right? And then I'll start talking spoilers here because it's really hard. It's really hard to not spoil anything and get into everything that we need to get into the show. So you've been warned. If you have not watched this show, please click out of this video, go watch it, and then come back and we'll discuss it. But you've been warned. So yeah, we get into then, we find out that who took Milo is Carrie, right? So Carrie, who is Jenny and Richie's nanny, we find out that she took him. So we initially have this question of why would she take him, right? She's not even their nanny. So why is she taking him? Why wouldn't she take, I think, Jacob, right? Who is Jenny and Richie's son. So that's the initial question that it's in your mind, right? And then you see all of these pieces being built, right? All the show coming to everything that you thought of. Maybe it's going to be different, right? And then we get to the end of the first episode, which ends in a great way, and ends with the pictures with the two detectives looking at a board with all the pictures of the suspects, and it zooms out and they're like all of the, and sorry, I should mention, because we're following the story day by day, so day 1, day 2, day 3, and then at the end of the episode, we're supposed to still be in day 1 or 2, but it jumps to day 27 of the investigation, right? And then it zooms out and the detectives go with the pictures on the board of all the suspects, and it's all of them, right? Like all of the main ones in the story. So it's the picture of Marissa, it's the picture of Jenny, it's the picture of Peter, it's a picture of Anna, it's the picture of Colin. So all of them there, Brian, Leah, all of them, and they go like all these nice people killing themselves, right? They're gonna kill themselves, basically. Like they mean legitimately, the one is gonna kill another, like physically kill them, right? And you're like, whoa. Day 27, you think they still haven't found Milo by day 27? This is crazy, right? And then the episode ends. It forces you to click next episode, right? And that's the thing about this show is, like, I remember when we got to, which we'll talk about shortly, but when we got to the last episode, like the episode 7 and 8, I think it was already like 1:30 in the morning. We had work the next day and we couldn't go. It's one of those, right, that you have to watch the next one, or at least the beginning of it, because it cannot end, an episode cannot end like this, right? So we ended up clicking next. It was like 1:30 in the morning to the last episode, and even though we had work the next day, we had to, like, and then I think we watched 20 minutes of the last episode. It was really late, so we paused it, went to sleep, and then we watched it the next day. But all of this to say, it's one of those shows, right? So if you enjoy that, you really liked, my guess is you really enjoyed the show, because it forces you to, like, oh my gosh, what is happening? I need to know, right? So basically, yeah, that's how episode 2 finishes, and then episode 1 finishes, and then we get the story, right? So we find out that Carrie took him, and then we need to know her intentions, right? Is she just crazy? Like, what is going on? Why would she take him? He's not even the child that she was watching. She's just a psychopath that wants to be a mom, basically, right? So I think that, like I said, the show does a great job in placing all these situations in front of you for us, the audience, to piece together in our minds, right? I was thinking about this, and it does a great job as well with the detective, right? And his life. We get to know his life a little bit, his wife, him, and his son, who also has problems, and you see how personal this case becomes for him, right? Because he's investigating the kidnapping and the disappearance of a child while dealing with his child and the problems that he has at home as well, right? And the show does a great job in like putting us in the situations that he's going through, right? Like, for example, when he decides to tamper with the evidence, he initially goes, no, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to do that just to put my son in a better school. F you, right? Basically. And then later on, I can't remember if it was the same episode, but later on, you can see that even though he said no, you can see that he's wrestling with that choice, right? He's wrestling with that choice, and it's still in his mind, right? Like the seed was planted, even though he said no. You can see that it's shaking him, right? And the show does a great job in putting us in that situation with him, as far as like, what choice would we, the audience, make if we were put in that situation as well, right? Wouldn't we, right, for our child, do that? Wouldn't we, just to, give him a better life because of everything that he's going through and all the issues, the health issues that he has, and we know that the school is going to be fantastic for him, I might just as well do this little thing, tamper with some evidence. I'm a detective, I have access to the evidence room, I might as well. And then he does it, and you can see that immediately the guy texts him, and the guy who forced him to do this goes, you made the right choice, we'll make sure your son is looked after, basically, right? But here's the thing, though, is you don't blame him for it, right? You kind of go like, yeah, man, like I completely get where you're coming from. I don't know what I would have done, right? So the show does a great job. Like I said, I keep saying the same thing, but the show does a great job in putting us, the audience, in that situation and letting us decide what we would do, right? And that's like the whole arc, right, of the show. So, but anyway, we find out then that Carrie, who is Jenny's nanny, took him. And we, like I said, we start to piece together all of that. Why would she take him? You see that her life as well, it wasn't easy with the boyfriend that she had, who was now in jail, and all of that stuff, right? But what we initially thought the show was, which was, like I said, a show of let's find our son, let's find this child, becomes a lot more, right? Becomes a lot more. So we get to know a bit more of Peter, right? Who is Marissa's husband. We get to know that he is not what he seems, right? Because we initially think, he loves his family, does everything for them. He is supporting them financially because obviously he probably feels guilty that he is this wealthy person, yet his brother has a limp and his sister doesn't really do anything with her life, right? So we're there, and then we can see that he wrestles as well with that choice. But you see immediately that there's something that's not right in that story, right? But the show just teases that for a second, and then gets back to maybe he is still a good husband and a good father, right? Maybe he does love Marissa and Milo. So, but then we start finding out more and more, and we find out that he is this crazy person and did everything that he did, right? Which we'll get into, but yeah, so there's a lot of like angles. As you can see, it's a really complex story. And the one thing that I immediately immediately took away from it was, which completely sold me, and from the very first scene on the very first episode, was Sarah Snook's performance, right? So let's get that out of the way. Fantastic, right? She's worthy of all the accolades for this performance. She is worthy of a Golden Globe. She's worthy of an Emmy. She's worthy of a Critics' Choice Award. Whatever the awards are, just give it to her, right? Because she is fantastic. You see everything that she's gone through and exactly what a parent, a mom, will do, right? So I think, so yeah, that's what I took the most away from this, other than the twists in terms of the story. I think her performance is outstanding, one of the best we've seen in years in television. But yeah, so sorry, I keep looking here because I have my notes here, but we can see all of that, and then we get to know Carrie's angles a bit more. We see that, well, maybe she is not a psychopath after all, right? I mean, what she did is still wrong, but the revelations start to come, right? And then we find out that Carrie, who her real name is Josephine, Milo is actually her child, right? Which you're like, whoa, what did that come from? Where did that come from, right? And then we find out that by the end of the episodes, I think episode 7, maybe episode 8, I can't remember exactly, but we find out that they had an accident when the kids were born. So Marissa and Peter were coming home from the hospital, and Josie was coming home from the hospital as well. They get into an accident. Both of their cars crash into each other. Marissa passes out. Carrie passes out. Peter is the only one that is conscious. He gets out of the car and is obviously all shaken up with the accident. He thinks his wife just died, and the child as well in the back. But we find out that the child, Marissa and Peter's child, actually died. The baby died, and he hears Josie's baby crying, right? He starts, I guess, planning in his mind, which is insane to me. Why would he even do that? But he starts planning all of this in his mind, and he goes, grabs the baby, switches them, puts the dead baby in Josie's car, and takes the baby who is alive, who is Milo, and puts him and acts like that's his baby, and the Carrie's baby now is dead, right? So we find that revelation, right? So at the end of it, you're like, whoa, so Carrie all along has not been a psychopath, right? She kidnapped her own child, basically, right? She's the mom. And then when she goes to the house and has the gun, she tells them, I'm not crazy, right? Really good performance as well for her. But she goes, I'm not crazy. Which shakes Marissa up a lot. You can see that she's like, wait, what do you mean? Right? Obviously, you're crazy. And then she sees Peter acting suspicious, right? So all the revelations start to come. And then we see all the fight that they get into. She ends up dead. Peter kills her. And then they start talking, and everything is basically revealed, right? And then, yeah, by the end of it, we see Marissa completely shaken up to her core, obviously with what Peter had done. She finds out that Milo is actually not her child, like biologically, and her child actually died, right, in that accident 3 years ago, whatever it was, right? So, and you see all of this, right? And you're like watching with them. The revelations are coming, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? You see her performance, like I said, tremendous. And you're like, wow, that's a really good twist, right? And then by the end of it, like I said, the show like wraps up really well, I think. It does a great job of solving all of the mysteries that it placed for us. The show does a really good job in doing that. And then you can see that, the battle that Marissa's having now, because she doesn't trust Peter anymore, and she's shaken to her core with what her husband did, even though he seems all chilled now because they found Milo, right, in that motel scene where Peter goes and takes him back and all of that stuff with Josie's dad. Anyway, I'm just trying to jump through all the hoops here. I know I skipped a bunch of stuff, but I don't want this video to be too long either. But anyway, so yeah, so we see that she's shaken up to her core with what Peter did, and then she goes and kills him. In order for them to basically have peace, right? And we see that the detective at the end of it knows as well, even though she hasn't said it, obviously fully out loud, because she can be taken into prison, obviously. But we know that the detective knows, right? So yeah, that's basically the show there in a really quick nutshell. It's a lot. It's a really complex show as far as like all the twists and turns that it provides for us. But yeah, it's like I said, one of the best ones that I have seen in a few years, as far as storyline, as far as screenplay, as far as direction, as far as performances. Really well. Like I said, Sarah Snook's performance, Dakota Fanning's performance, the husband, Peter, don't quite know his name, but his performance as well, really good. But yeah, that's the show there for you guys. Let me know if I forgot to mention anything that it's important to the story. Oh yeah, of course, we get the amazing scene of the argument between Marissa, Peter, and the siblings, when it's revealed that it was actually Peter's fault, right? That he caused the accident for his brother Brian. He has the limp now and has a problem with his leg because of Peter. Actually, he's the one that tripped him when they were playing, when they were kids, and because of that, he feels guilty, and that's why he provides like financially now for his siblings, right? He feels guilty for that accident because he blamed the sister. He made her believe that it was her fault all of their life, basically. So it's like really really bad stuff that he's done his whole life, basically, right? And because of that, he feels bad. He now provides, basically, it's a way for him to feel less guilty, I guess, for everything he's done, right? But that scene where that argument between the siblings, Peter and Marissa, is an amazing scene, one of the best in the show, because it really highlights Sarah Snook's performance, like I was saying, when she like breaks the things and gets to the floor and kneels down to the floor and starts crying and starts sobbing. Really, really well done, right? I think that scene alone can earn her all the accolades, like I said. But yeah, that's the thoughts there on All Her Fault. Let me know if I forgot anything. Again, just trying to get through all of it super quickly. I don't want this video to be super long. But let me know if I forgot anything down in the comments below. Join me. Let me know what you thought of the show. If you have seen it, if you have not seen it, let me know if this video is going to make you go and watch it. Let me know all of it down in the comments below. And again, if you like this type of content, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. It'll help me out a ton, trying to grow it and create this community that I have wanted to create for a long time. And if you're feeling generous, I've linked here, like I said, a page for a donation. It will just help out the channel a bit to keep this content coming. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, for joining me in this video, and I'll see you down in the next one.